Play. Michigan's defense lifts Spate in comeback win 118 after Wilton Spate throws 2 pick-sixes in the first half. The Wolverines dominate defensively for a second-half shutout with 3 takeaways. 118 September 5, 2017 USC's Sam Darnold and Wyoming's Josh Allen are projected to be among the top picks in the 2018 NFL Draft, but could their stock have slipped after their struggles in college football's opening weekend? Mel Kiper and Todd McShay debate if either standing took a hit, plus other hot topics from college football's opening week. Buy or sell Josh Allen and/or Sam Darnold stock dropping after Week 1. Kiper: I'm selling Allen's stock dropping after Week 1. I'm going to reiterate what I said on Saturday. Don't judge Allen on this one performance. Judge him on his entire body of work, because that's what NFL teams will do. You can't evaluate Wyoming QB Josh Allen, who's number 2 on my preseason big board, on this game at Iowa alone. You have to take into account every game. In fact, Ben Roethlisberger had a 4-interception game against the Hawkeyes to open the 2003 season. Allen has showed he has an NFL arm, but the defense just lost too many weapons to compete against a front seven as good as Iowa's. I want to see Allen improve from week to week this season. Mel Kiper Jr., football analyst. No, the stat line wasn't great. 23 of 40 passing with no touchdown passes and 2 picks in the 243 loss to the Hawkeyes. But he just doesn't have a lot of talent around him. The Wyoming offense lost 47 touchdowns from last season's team, along with its center. You can't take away 47 touchdowns in the center and not affect the quarterback. Allen has an NFL arm and showed his athleticism on Saturday. My opinion hasn't changed after one game. Allen's raw, but has a high-end talent. McShay: I'm selling Darnold's dropping draft stock. There's no doubt that Saturday wasn't Darnold's finest performance. 23 of 33, 289 yards, 2 INTs, but overall, I thought he played better than the numbers suggest. Going back through the tape, he suffered from inconsistent protection and there were several times his wide receivers looked like they ran the wrong routes. Don't get me wrong, he missed a few throws. But there are usually a few missed throws in every game. This looked like a USC team shaking off the rust, and it's good that Western Michigan was lined up against them as opposed to their Week 2 opponent Stanford. Darnold will be fine, and is still an elite QB in my mind. Don't sweat Sam Darnold's stats in the opening win over Western Michigan. He played better than the numbers show and he's still one of the top prospects in this year's draft class. Harry Howe: Getty Images. Buy or sell Michigan can win the Big Ten. Kiper: in buying Michigan as a contender in the Big Ten. Florida's offense is anemic, and the Gators had 10 players suspended for Saturday's game, but the Wolverines' defense was impressive in the 3,317 win. Remember, Michigan lost a record 11 players to the NFL draft, and 8 of those were defenders on the number 2 defense in the country. I was very impressed Saturday with Morris Hurst, who's on my preseason big board. But players who aren't yet draft eligible stood out, too. Devin Bush was all over the field. Former 5-star recruit Rashan Gary flashed. This young defense is going to keep getting better. Now, the offense has to improve in a hurry. Wilton Spate had a poor game. But this Michigan team is going to battle, and its young roster will keep improving. We know Ohio State and Penn State are good, and hey, Maryland pulled off a great win over Texas on Saturday, but don't sleep on the Wolverines in the Big Ten East. McShay: in buying Michigan as legit contenders in the Big Ten. I've been saying all summer that Michigan is one of the most underrated programs in the country. Spate is the most important piece, and while he's capable of playing at a high level, he needs to cut down on the forced errors. The defense was terrific on Saturday against Florida, but it's tough to win when you throw 2 pick-sixes. I trust Harbaugh will continue to help him in that regard. I'm buying into the exceptional recruiting, competitive culture and a defense that is much better than people thought with all of the losses to the NFL draft. Jabril Peppers, Taco Charlton, Jordan Lewis, Ben Gedeon and Chris Wormley, among others. The schedule isn't easy at Penn State on October 21st, at Wisconsin on November 18th and versus Ohio State on November 25th, but I think this time will be a competitor in the Big Ten. Buy or sell Saquon Barkley as a Heisman Trophy contender. Kiper: in buying Barkley as a Heisman contender. This isn't about what Barkley did on Saturday, though he did thrash Akron for 172 yards and 2 touchdowns on only 14 carries. That 520 win won't tell you much about Penn State this season. But Barkley was a legitimate Heisman candidate before the season started. He only solidified his status Saturday. Penn State is loaded on offense, and Barkley is the key guy. He rushed for 1,496 yards and 18 touchdowns last season, and he'll also chip in the pass game. He had 3 catches for 54 yards against the Zips. If the Nittany Lions keep winning, Barkley will be in the Heisman discussion. He'll be keeping a close eye this season. He's might have pranked back for the 2018 draft. McShay in buying Barkley as a Heisman contender. I agree with Mel that Barkley will be in the Heisman discussion if the Nittany Lions keep winning, but he'll take it a step further. He is the best player in college football right now. He was the number 5 ranked overall player on my initial top 32 and the top running back. He won't be the first player drafted in the 2018 draft because of this QB class and how running backs are valued in today's NFL, but if I was starting a CFB program right now and had my choice of any player in the country, I would take Barkley. Prospects on the receiver: Sean Dion Hamilton, ILB, Alabama. Hamilton tore his ACL last December in the SEC title game, and I wanted to see how he looked coming back from his injury. But he was extremely impressive in the Crimson Tide's 247 win over Florida State, looking like the quality prospect he was prior to hurting his knee. He had 8 tackles, 3.5 for loss and a sack. I love his all-around game. He reads and reacts quickly, shows impressive speed to the ball and breaks down well to make one-on-one tackles. The 6-foot, 235-pound Hamilton is a disruptive force who jumps out on tape. He's well on his way to being my top-ranked inside linebacker for the 2018 draft. McShay: Ronald Jones 2, RB, USH'd at 14 at the half with Western Michigan. Jones just might have saved USC's season. Darnold clearly had an off day, but he was bailed out by his running back, who had 159 yards and 3 TDs. Jones' elite top-end speed was on display, as well as his ability to hit holes with a purpose. He's not as well-rounded a back as Barkley or some others in this class, but he's very explosive. I gave him a day 2 grade coming into the season, but he's off to a great start. Almost famous Skyper Aaron Stinney, Og James Madison. Great win for the Dukes on Saturday, routing East Carolina 3,414. They rushed for 422 yards on 9.6 yards per carry, thanks in part to the left tackle Stinney, who flashed on tape. He showed powerful hands and blocked effectively on the move and moved defenders off the ball in the run game. At 6'4", 305, Stinney played defensive line in 2014 for JMU before moving over to offense. This is his 3rd season as the starter at left tackle. He has great bloodlines, too. Stinney's father, Phil, is the 7th leading scorer in VCU history. He's 68. Stinney might have to move inside to be a guard in the NFL, but he's an intriguing day 3 prospect. McShay: Cardon Johnson, RB, James Madison. Redshirt senior rushed for 265 yards and 2 TDs in the Duke's 3,414 win over East Carolina. He also had 2 catches for 12 yards. Johnson helped put away the game with 2 long TD runs, 85 and 80 yards in the second half.